1 Squadron Air Force Base Waterkloof, and Lieutenant Adibao Ramaphosa, Air Traffic Controller at Air Force Base Waterkloof. Ladies and gentlemen, for today's flight past, we will be seeing one Hawk Mark 120 aircraft operated by 85 Combat Flying School, which is located at Air Force Base Makado. The Hawk will be approaching from west to east, and the leader of this Hawk is Major Josimang Siecho, call sign Cypher, the pilot attack instructor on Hawk at 85 Combat Flying School. Together with him is Captain Wimberani Makado, call sign Morpheus. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hawk Mark 120 aircraft is the South African Air Force transonic lead-in fighter trainer, encompassing ideal handling characteristics for combat fighter pilot training and their role as the guardians of the South African airspace in defense of the South Africans' freedom and sovereignty. The estimated time of arrival here is exactly 1041 Bravo time. Will be approaching from the west to the east. In the next few seconds, we'll be seeing the Hawk Mark 120 lead-in fighter trainer. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hawk Mark 120. He is now doing a quick right-hand turn orbit. He will be coming in for the last run-in. He is currently doing 360 knots, which is exactly 666 kilometers per hour at an altitude of 300 feet above ground level. Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of this aircraft, Major Josimang Siecho, call sign Cypher, is 35 years old. He was born and bred in Mangaung, Bloemfontein. He joined the South African Air Force at age 18, and he also flew the Gripen and the Astra. Major Siecho is married, and together they are blessed with 2 kids. Ladies and gentlemen, Major Siecho, being the pilot attack instructor, that is the highest qualification awarded to the South African Air Force fighter pilots. This means that Major Siecho can lead the entire formation to a combat zone, as well as training new fighter pilots in all aspects. The Hawk is now on the second and last run-in, ladies and gentlemen. Together with Major Siecho in the Hawk is Captain Wimberani Makado, call sign Morpheus. This gentleman was born and bred in Tsianda village, Venda, Limpopo province in 1989. He matriculated in 2006 at Ndamurereni Secondary. Captain Makado joined the South African Air Force in 2008 as the airspace control operator, and later remastered in 2015 and qualified as a navigator in July 2018. There is the Hawk from 85. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the fly past for the Freedom Day celebration 2023. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the final compliment. Military spectators are to salute on the command national salute, and civilian male spectators are to remove their headdress.
About it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the Freedom Day celebration parade. Thank you for your attendance and enjoy the rest of your day.
Amanda!
Amanda! Amanda! Amanda! All power! Re lebogile a ke tse tshone ke tlhompe presidente ya rona His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, the Deputy President of the Republic and the spouse, the premiers from the Free State and of the Northwest Province, ministers and deputy ministers present, the General of the SANDF, diplomatic corps, traditional leaders, interfaith leaders, all political parties present, councillors and executive mayors, the community of Bokoni Bophirima, Dumelang, South Africa, Dumelang, ke la letsa Bilenda Lemugang from Prestige Secondary, Alton Makubalo from Nkang Mahlale Secondary, Malea Adams Botale Ramatlotlo from Alda Museum Secondary, and Daniel Dutoit from Schoenspruit Secondary. The stage is yours.
The preamble of the
Ke kopa go nne le botsitso ga re fa bana ba rona tshono go tswa ko dikolong tse di farologaneng mo matlosana gore ba recite preamble ya rona ya constitution.
The preamble of the Constitution. We, the people of South Africa, recognize the injustices of our past, honor those who suffered for justice and freedom in our land, respect those who have worked to build and develop our country,
and believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. We, therefore, through our freely elected representatives, adopt this Constitution as the supreme law of the Republic, so as to
re alafe dikgogakgogano tse di fetileng mme re age setšhaba se se theilweng ka meetlo ya demokrasi, bosiamisi jwa batho le ditshwanelo tse botlhokwa jwa botho.
Tlhome metheo ya demokrasi le setšhaba se se gololesegileng mo o puso e theilweng ka thato ya batho ebile moagi mongwe le mongwe a sireleditswe ka go lekana ke molao.
Die lewensgehalte van alle burgers te verhoog en die potensiaal van elke mens te ontsluit en
'n verenigde en demokratiese Suid-Afrika te bou wat sy regmatige plek as 'n soewereine staat in die gemeenskap van nasies kan inneem.
May God protect our people. Nkosi sikeleli Afrika. Morena boloka setšhaba sa Yesu. God save South Africa. God bless South Africa. Muzimu fatusetsa Afrika. Wosi katekisa Afrika.
Elton Young.
Thank you very much. A re fa feng matsogo gape. Re tlo go etsa boikuelo mo bathong ba rona ba ba dutse mo gare ba eme ka maoto gore ba re thuse. Ba dule go na le ditulo tse di providilweng because batho ko morago ga bone ga ba bone. So re dira boikuelo mo go rona rotlhe mo kopanong ya gompieno. Re kopane fa go tlo go keteka letsatsi la kgololosego. Ke 29 years Africa Borwa e fitlhetse kgololosego. Me re keteka ka mono o reng go kopantsha le go sireletsa diphitlhelo tse re di dirileng morago ga kgololosego. La mogetso lotlhe mo Bokone Bophirima province ya rona mo city of Matlosane ga ke la letsa mo seraleng tona kgolo ya rona ya province ya Bokone Bophirima re ke o bitsa mape.
Halala Northwest, halala. Halala South Africa, halala. Program Director, His Excellency President Ramaphosa, His Excellency Deputy President Paul Mashatile, Minister of Sports, Arts, Culture, Minister Zizi Kodwa, Ministers and Deputy Ministers present here, members of the Executive Council of the Northwest, mayors and executive mayors, Mahosi Arona, Tlotlegang, baeteledipele, basidumedi botlhe ba bateng fano, baagi botlhe ba Northwest le baagi ba South Africa, ra re bagaetsho dumelang. The people of the Northwest feel extremely honored to be hosting the celebration of this very important day, 27th April, Freedom Day. We want to assure the President that we understood your command last time when you were here during the celebration of Human Rights Day, 21st March, which we hosted in Koster. The message you gave to us was unambiguous. You said freedom without providing our people with services is meaningless. And at that time, Mr. President, you scolded the people of Mafikeng for the state of cleanliness in their city. I want to report back, Mr. President, that the people of Mafikeng last year launched what they called hashtag Rata Mafikeng. The program, Mr. President, is intended to clean Mafikeng, to remove the rubble and to clear the bushes. They are paving the streets and repairing the potholes. The people of Matlosane, I joined them last year when they were busy with the same thing, paving in Matlosane. Naledi municipality has made tremendous progress in this regard, and we want this picture of municipalities that are attending to basic services to engulf the entire province. The people of the province have elevated water, roads, and jobs to apex priorities, and we are giving concentrated attention to these. We thank the ministers. Minister Senzo Mkhunu is literally living in this province, working with us to solve water and sewer problems. Other deputy ministers are doing the same. Deputy Minister Sochu, Deputy Minister Kapa, Minister Tula Singles, they are all in the province working with us to ensure that we give our people the services they require. We in this province believe that we are united in our diversity. We believe that our diversity is our strength. Ons werksaam met Agri-Noordwes, ons werksaam met Noordwes Koöperasie om die toestand van ons paaie te verbeter. Hulle maak gebruik van hulle eie bronne om dit te bereik. And we want to say we are working with the mines in other parts of the province where the mines have joined us to ensure that we repair and we upgrade the roads. Just nearby in Tigane, the Supreme Chicken Company is working with the community there to resolve water problems. And we appreciate the role that the private sector is playing in joining us to ensure that we give services to our people. We here in Matlosane, in the district of Kenneth Kaunda, we want to say we welcome you, Mr. President. We welcome you, Deputy President. We welcome the ministers and deputy ministers. Re amogela dikgosi tsa rona, re amogela baruti ba rona, makhanselara, mekgatlo ya baagi, mekgatlo ya badiri, dipati tse dingwe, bašwa, jalo jalo. Baagi ba Northwest, re a lo dumedisa, lo amogetswe. Baagi ba South Africa, re a lo dumedisa, lo amogetswe. Le bao ba batla latelang puo ya ga presidente mo radio le mo TV ra re ala amogetse. Mr. President, the people of the Northwest are ready to listen to you. They are keen to get your message and they are ready to embrace your command. Ons wil u verseker dat ons hierso met ons verskillende verskeidenheid, ons werksaam, ons glo eendrag sal ons lewe verbeter. We believe that working together will build a better future. Re dira mmogo go bopa isagwe betere. Halala Northwest, halala. Halala South Africa, halala. Ke a leboga.
Dintja di bofilwe. Re lebogile tonakgolo. Re ke o bitsa mape ga ke kopa mo seraleng K9 a refer item.
Yeah. K9's in the house. Hey yo, Matlosane, I said K9's in the house. Yeah. 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 She must be thinking I'm feeling myself. I hope that nobody tell them it's true. Looking for heaven, I've been in my hell. Walking, I bet you can fit in my shoe. Been on my mind and it's ringing a bell. You can't get into the things that we do. Sometimes I might want to kiss till I tell. There goes some new shoe. And I might just drown it. Feeling I found in your eyes. And now I come alive and no. I find my crown in your healing. I die from your lies, but I think I might like it, so no. Hey yo, Matlosane, y'all having a good time, right? Let me hear one song before I leave. Hey yo, last shy a track, boy. Let's take it back to SA's Got Talent. This is a throwback right now. If y'all want to turn up, y'all turn up with me, right? See, I go by the name of K9. Hey yo, lads, I've been waiting a long time for this one, cuz. Let's get him. Hola, tere, kada. Come on, make some noise. Hola, tere, kanja. Yeah, nah. Move aside, sharp, I can't listen. Kisale mampane reba yetatato. Kore haun kabe remba chana keso. Asebu ika kena erosa posa ganyos. We all trying to make it, all these cats like me. Bet you ain't never seen a white boy that rap like me. No BBC, I'm trying to see myself on BET. I take it to school, boy, got more soul than TDE. I make your heart stop, no ECG. I'm JVC, keep playing in your ear like an MP3. I keep chasing and dreaming about these MTVs. Walk, reason and listen to me. Hola, tere, ganja. Hola, tere, ganja. We send this out to the chillers like they party. These lucky to my place. The gas in my high. I say, hola, tere, pincha. Hola, tere, banya. We send this out to the chillers like the city to the blessing. We clap in the Chaye. Hey, yo, Matlosana. I love every one of you. I'm proudly South African, yo.
Agamugeleng letona la rona la Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, Honorable Zizi Kotwa.
Ala Northwest, ala South Africa, ala President Matamela, ala. Dumelang bagets. Good morning to South Africans. Good morning to you, Mr. President, and your deputy. Good morning to ministers and deputy ministers. Mr. President, you have in front of you not less than 10 cabinet ministers. You had not less than 10 deputy ministers. Mr. President, you have ambassador from Palestine, ambassador from Cuba, you have ambassador from Iran in front of you. These are the people who have come to celebrate a birth of a new country. 29 years ago, we did not have a country. It was on this day that we are celebrating the birth of a new country. Majority of South Africans, they never participated because they never had a government, Mr. President. In you, as a representative of a democratically elected government, you carry the hopes of millions of South Africans who never had government before. Which is why, Mr. President, in the past, 29 years ago, South Africans never protested for service delivery because they never had a government to protest. It is only now that South Africans can protest for service delivery because they got a government democratically elected by them, Mr. President. It is my singular honor and privilege, Mr. President, that I therefore, on behalf of millions of South Africans who are listening and watching you, that through arts and culture and sport, we can build a country of our dreams that is described in a preamble of the Constitution, which was read here. And that performance is one example that through arts and culture, through music, we can build a culture, we can build a country of our dreams. It is my honor, therefore, Mr. President, Your Excellency, to invite you to address the nation. Mr. President.
Amandla. Halala Matlosana, halala. Halala South Africa, halala. Amandla. Long live the spirit of Nelson Mandela, long live. Long live the spirit of our first democratically elected president, Nelson Mandela, long live. Amandla. Dumelang. Sanbonani. Molweni. Abshin. Abshin. Limacheron. Hoye More. Good morning. Kya leboga. Go bona batho ba bantsi ba mo Matlosane Northwest ba tlileng ka bongata. ke simolle ka go leboga program director wa rona Minister Zizi Kotwa le MEC Kinetswe Mosenegi ke dumedise Deputy President wa rona Ntate Paul Mashatile ke dumedise le mme Humile Mashatile ke dumedise di minister tse teng le di deputy minister ke kopa hore ko morago kwale le ke le thole ganyane ka obane go na le batho ba bantsi mo South Africa ba mametseng se re se etsang mo gompieno ene ba le shebile di television le di camera di shebile nyena yaanong a re batlo re ba le bone le sa itshwara sentle mo letsatsing la botlhokwa le tshwana le ka jeno so ke kopa gore re ke re tholeganyane ka bane letsatsi le botlhokwa gagolo le re gopodisa president wa rona wa mathomo President Nelson Mandela a re ke re motlhompe re tlhompe le naga ya gaeso re bontshe gore letsatsi le ka nnete re le bona le letsatsi le botlhokwa go feta matsatsi a mantsi ka obane ke ka letsatsi le ileng ra fumana tokologo ya rona so a re ke re tholeganyane re tla kgona go bua re etse ntho tse dintsi ha ba di performance batla ke batla go dumedisa le premier wa rona wa mo Northwest Ntate Bushi Maepe ke dumedise le executive mayor wa Kenneth Kaunda District Municipality Councillor Nikki Wenum le executive mayor wa rona wa mo Matlosane Councillor Tolela ke dumedise the chief of our National Defence Force General Rudzani Mapwanya and the other officers and generals of our defense force, members of the judiciary who may be here with us, leaders of various political parties and civil society formations, of course, members of the diplomatic corps who are here, who always grace our occasions with respect for our country and our nation. We welcome you and we thank you for being here. Ke dumedise le magosi a rona le baruti ba rona ba teng gare ga rona and various leaders of various organizations, and extend my greetings to all of you fellow South Africans. Today, across the country, as South Africans, we are celebrating the day on which we all collectively gave birth to a new nation. This is the day when all of us as South Africans got a birth certificate for our country, because that's when the real South Africa was born. On the 27th of April, 1994, South Africans of all races and all languages and all creeds stood in long, winding queues in the exercise of their democratic right, for which so many fought and for which so many sacrificed their own lives. And that is why it is important for ka letsatsi le tshwanang le le re ise tlhompho go bao ba ilweng ba lwanela tokologo ya rona. Ba bantsi ba ile ba shwa, ba bantsi ba ile ba shwella ko mahatsheng a ko ntle, ba bang ba shwella tronkong, ba lwanela lefatshe le la rona. On Freedom Day, not only do we celebrate this defining moment of our nation's long journey to freedom, but we also reaffirm our shared commitment to the promise that this momentous day in 1994 gave to all our people. On Freedom Day, we recall the great progress that has been made in nearly 3 decades of democracy, but we also acknowledge that so much of the promise of 1994 still needs to be realized. It is on this occasion that we rededicate ourselves to work with greater purpose and determination. We work with greater unity to give full effect to the meaning of freedom in our land. It is fitting that the national celebration of Freedom Day is taking place here in Matlosana, which carries both the pain of our past as well as the promise of our future. The site of a concentration camp for Africans during the Anglo-Boer War, Matlosana has a history of dispossession and exploitation. One of the best-known sons of our nation and of this area, Archbishop Desmond Mpilo Tutu, was 6 years old when his family and many others were thrown out of their homes in the vibrant community of Makweteng to clear the area for white people to settle in. Matlosana was home to a mining industry which, under apartheid, was responsible for the exploitation of mine workers, paying them slave wages and exposing them to terrible working conditions and living conditions. It was here that the National Union of Mine Workers was formed in a church here in 1982 to fight for the rights and the dignity of mine workers. It was here in Matlosana that the Klerksdorp Christian Academy was founded in 1989 as one of the first multiracial schools in the area, only to be bombed by right-wingers during the transition to democracy. Matlosana, like so many places in South Africa, has known great suffering, and the people of Matlosana have suffered greatly as well. But it has also been a place of resistance. It's also been a place where the people of Matlosana struggled against apartheid. But it is also a place of hope. The changes that have taken place in Matlosana since the advent of democracy reflect the broader transformation that is underway in our country. Today, mine workers and other vulnerable workers have rights that those who came before them were denied. Bao ba sebetsang di mining, le bao ba sebetsang mo di industry tse ding tse fapakaneng, ba ne ba sena ditokelo pele go 1994. Gompieno ba na le ditokelo. Ditokelo tsa bona, they include the right to be compensated if they are injured or become sick on duty. In the past, when mine workers around the mines in this area were injured or they died, they got nothing. They were not really even fairly compensated. Today, under a democratic government, mine workers are cared for. These include the right to organize. They include the right to full protection under our labor laws. They also include the right to strike without fearing that you would be dismissed. Here in 1987, when mine workers participated in the Great Miners' Strike, 50,000 of them were dismissed within a short space of time, and they were sent to their homes just because they had gone on strike. Today, mine workers have won the right to go on strike knowing that they will not be dismissed just merely for being on strike. They have won the right to strike. Today, not only are all schools open to all races, but millions of learners from poor households attend no-fee schools. Every day, 9 million learners receive a meal at school. This never was the case before 1994. Last year, just over 900,000 young people sat for matric, and more than 80% of them passed. And more of the learners are achieving bachelor passes, and they are largely from no-fee schools. The schools that did not have facilities, that were relegated to the back under Bantu education. Today, through the National School Finance Aid, NSFAS, more than 700,000 young people from poor working class backgrounds are being funded for their tertiary studies at TVET colleges as well as at universities. Since the advent of democracy, which started on this day in 1994, access to health care has improved. Many more South African households live in formal dwellings. The government, the democratic government, having continued to build houses for our people and giving them free to those people. Social grants support around 18 million poor and vulnerable people. If you include the social grant we introduced during COVID, you add another 11 million people. This is what progress looks like. These are some of the fruits of our democracy. And yet, as every South African knows, we have still much more work to do. Poverty, unemployment, and inequality still define the lives of millions of South Africans today. At this time in particular, families across the country are experiencing great hardship and uncertainty. Batho ba bantsi ba tlhopega. Batho ba bantsi a bana tiro. A ke re go bjalo. Batho ba bantsi ba humana ba sena di-service delivery, metsi ha yo dintlong tsa rona, motlakase ha uyo, ditsela mo re dulang teng di maswe, mo dintlong tse ding tse re dulang mo tsona go na le sewerage e tsamayang mo strateng. Ke ona mathata a re shebaneng le ona. And ha re bua nnete, ke mathata a re itseng gore a teng mo gare ga setšhaba. And ke mathata je ka se le utlwile from premier ya rona a re sebetsanang le ona letsatsi le letsatsi. Le utlwile premier a re mathata a metsi ke mathata a tletseng dibaka tse dintsi mo South Africa. Minister wa rona wa metsi o setse a dula matsatsi a mantsi gona mo Northwest. Le deputy minister ya gagwe ba lokisa yona taba e ya metsi. Ke ba file the instructions tse clear kare lokisang taba ya metsi ke yona e kgolo go feta tse dintsi. That's why ba le mo ba lokisa taba e ya metsi. So mathata a re kopana le ona gotlhe mo re tsamayang teng mo batho ba rona ba phelang teng, re shebane le ona mathata a go loka gore re a lokise ka gobane re a itse gore batho ba heso ba phela ka thata. Our country has been hit by a number of crises: political, global, financial, social and economic shocks, worsening also natural disaster shocks that we've gone through. We also had floods here in Northwest, as we did in KZN, as we did in the Eastern Cape and in Gauteng as well. And on top of that, we then had the worst pandemic in 100 years that gripped the whole world, which is COVID-19. These setbacks have made the devastating apartheid legacy of inequality even much worse. We are also now counting the cost of years of underinvestment in our electricity, in our water, in our rail and port infrastructure. We are feeling the damaging effects of state capture and corruption and concerted efforts to weaken our state and public institutions. As we work to rebuild and reconstruct, we face challenges that are far different to those that were experienced in the earliest days of our democracy. We have to secure our energy future. We have to adapt to climate change. We have to grow our economy and create more jobs. We have to eradicate the scourge of gender-based violence and also act against criminality. Freedom cannot be meaningful when South African homes and businesses are without electricity for several hours in a day. Re ka se re na le tokologo ha motlakase o seyo letsatsi le letsatsi. That is why we are using every means at our disposal to restore Eskom's power stations and to build new generation capacity as a matter of greatest urgency. Go lokisa Eskom le gore go be le motlakase ke yona ntho e re shebaneng le yona go feta tse dintsi. The benefits of the progress we have made are not yet felt. Load shedding has not yet abated, but we will soon experience the impact of unprecedented investment that is being made in new power generation. When we emerge from this crisis, our energy system will have been fundamentally transformed. It will be more stable, more reliable, and more affordable and more sustainable. Freedom cannot be meaningful when more than 10 million South Africans are out of work. That is why we need to pursue far-reaching reforms we are undertaking to make our economy more competitive, more inclusive, and more attractive to investors. It is because South Africans need jobs that we have raised our ambition to attract and to raise 2 trillion rand in new investment over the next 5 years. Having surpassed our investment target, re ile ra re mo dilemong tse 5 tse fetileng re batla gore bao ba nang le tšhelete ba e tlise mo go rona mo South Africa, e age di-factory, e age di-investment tse tla kgonang go aga mesebetsi. Ra re batla 1.2 trillion ya diranta. Re ne re tshwere conference matsatsi a fetileng mo re ileng ra kgona go feta target ele ya rona ya 1.2 trillion. Ra feta ra fitla go 1.5 trillion. Ne ile go etsetsa gore bao ba nang le ditšhelete ba tlise ditšhelete tsa bona. Re batla gore ditšhelete tseo di tle le gona mo matlosane mo le leng teng. Re batla gore ditšhelete tseo di tle le gona mo Northwest, go investiwe mo Northwest, go etsetsa gore re age mesebetsi gona mo Northwest le gona mo matlosane. Ka hobane tokologo ya rona e ka se be le ntho e re ka itshwarang sentle ha re sa kgone go aga mesebetsi. Freedom cannot be meaningful while our people remain unemployed. So we want businesses to invest in our economy. We want investors from various countries. We want investors from our own country to come and invest here as well. Because freedom cannot be meaningful while our people remain unemployed. But freedom cannot be meaningful as well if our people and our communities continue to live in fear of gangsters and women live fearing the men of our country. Re ka se re go na le tokologo ga ditsotsi di tsamaya go gotlhe ba etsa ntho e ba e ratang. Re ka se re we are free. Re ka se re bomme le basetsana ba naga ya eso ba tshaba go tsamaya mo ditrateng ka hobane go na le banna ba batla ba bolayang kapo ba tla ba reipa. Re ka se re go na le tokologo. We have done much. We have done much to improve the effectiveness of the police and to strengthen our criminal justice system, but we need to do much more. In particular, we need to build durable partnerships of respect and cooperation between the police and communities, between the dedicated police officers and the people they have sworn to serve and to protect. We need to unite as a society to end the violence that is perpetrated against women in our country. This is a fight that we must all take up, both men and women, if we want to achieve equal rights and freedoms and opportunities for all. As we undertake all these difficult tasks, mesebetsi e kaofela ya yona e thata, a e bonolo, ke mesebetsi e thata, empa ke mesebetsi e re tshwanetseng gore re etse. We are encouraged and inspired by those who brought freedom to our country and who built our democracy. Unlike so many had predicted, we have not turned on each other. Many before 1994 had predicted that South Africa will turn into a civil war landscape. We have not turned against each other. As South Africans of all races, we remain committed to working together to build the country of our dreams. We are still walking this path together. Our Constitution is a shelter for all of us. It is a shelter for black and white, for men and women, for different languages, for different cultures and beliefs. The preamble to our Constitution that was read by the young people who stood here is the true meaning of the hope that we have as South Africans. Read by young children from different race groups, projecting the future that they want to see as young people from different races. Our Constitution is a shelter for people of all sexual orientations and gender identities, for urban and rural dwellers, and for those born in South Africa and from those from elsewhere who have sought refuge here in South Africa. As the words of the preamble of our Constitution declare, South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. That is what the young people were reading here. We should think of our country as a large South African family. There are quarrels, there are disagreements, and yes, there are differences on all manner of things. And there are fights that we have. There are seasons of plenty, but there are also seasons and times of scarcity. Sometimes things are good, and sometimes things can be bad. But even when times are bad, a family pulls together. A family stands together. Like all families, which we are as South Africans, let us come together to sort out our differences and solve our problems. We cannot build a better South Africa of equality, of freedom, and social justice for all if we are a family that turns on itself. Let us focus on what unites us. Let us always remember just how far we have come. Let us take counsel from our elders amongst us, understanding that it is a desire to be of assistance that motivates them. Yes, let us go on and build our country and strengthen our government. Yes, a number of institutions of our government have become weak, but it is our collective task to strengthen those, because this is our family, and family is family. Let us stand firm against all that does not progress this family, and behavior of those who want to destabilize this South African family. Let us stand firm against corruption and the theft of state resources. re ska dumela bao ba batlang go utswa thepa ya mmuso, thepa ya setšhaba, bao ba batlang go dula ba senya. Let us take a stand against public servants who neglect their responsibilities and their duties. Bao ba sebeletsang mmuso ba sa tlhokomeleng setšhaba, bao ba sebeletsang mmuso ba shebileng bona fela, bao ba sebeletsang mmuso bao ba ikgantshang ba reng ha batho ba tla ba batla thuso bona ba ikgantsha ba shebile tsa bona fela. Now ha re le gona moo kaofela rona re le badulapo ba mo South Africa re tshwanetse gore le rona tseo tse tshwanetseng gore re di etse le rona. We must also execute our own responsibilities as citizens of our country. And we should take a stand against those who do not want to pay for the basic services and those, when they are obliged to do so, who pay bribes to connect electricity or to make a traffic fine go away. Let us take action against businesses that avoid paying their taxes, that cheat their workers, that break the law and overcharge customers. Let us make our contribution to the success of our country and our South African family. As citizens, especially as young South Africans, let us all go and register to go and vote next year so that we take responsibility for the future of our country. Ke tokelo ya rona gore South Africa re etse ya rona gore bokamoso ba South Africa bo be bokamoso bo bontle. Just as veterans of 1994 voted for transformation, so must we too. We must exercise our civic duty to ensure that there is no place in this country for those who want to steal, for those who want to plunder, and those who want to loot. We must embrace diversity that makes us strong as a nation, instead of fomenting hatred just because we disagree with each other. Diketsagalo tseo tse re dulang re di bona mo bao ba bang ba ntse ba gopola apartheid ya kgale ba batla gore batho ba bantsho ba ska ba le ditokelo tse felletseng a re di tlose kaofela tseo. Kaofela rona re badulapo ba South Africa, we all are South Africans, all of us in our diversity, in our different cultures and our different languages. We must therefore embrace that diversity. We must safeguard our gains, and we must use those gains and build on them and make sure that the South Africa that we want to build is the South Africa that we always want to defend and to protect. We owe it to the generations to come that we should continue building this South Africa. South Africa e ya rona ya gompieno e na le mathata mantsi, empa ke yona South Africa fela e re na leng yona. Re tshwantse re tshwarane matsogo re age South Africa ena, re kgone go tswa mo mathateng a re leng mo go ona, gore motlakase load shedding e fele, re kgone go aga mesebetsi, batho ba rona ba sebetse, and le bao ba etsang crime re etse sure gore a go sa tlhole go bana le crime mo South Africa. Ntho tseo kaofela re ka kgona go di lokisa ha re sebetsa mmogo re le batho ba mo South Africa. South Africa, my compatriots, is far too important as a country, and other countries around the world see us as a very important country. Let us join hands to continue building this South Africa. Those who struggled and fought for democracy have handed us a valuable South Africa, and it is now our duty to take it forward and to address and solve the problems and challenges that beset our country. As for us in government, we are determined to address those challenges, and in fact, we are addressing them day by day, building on the great progress that has been made since 1994. So we look forward to the next Freedom Day, which will be next year, when we will be celebrating 30 years of our democracy. I do want to believe that when we celebrate 30 years, our lives as South Africans and what we have to deal with will be much better than what it is. Because as South Africans, we remain hopeful. We know what our problems are. We know what we have to do to solve the problems, and we know what future we want to have. So knowing all that just means that we must get on with the task of rebuilding our country, of making the life of our people better, and working together. Ha re sebetsa mmogo kaofela ha rona ba kopaneng ha le bao ba ko magaeng, re ka kgona go e aga South Africa be South Africa e pila, be South Africa ya ditoro tsa rona, be South Africa mogolo wa rona Nelson Mandela a ne a lwanela yona. Ka hobane Nelson Mandela o ne a lwanela South Africa e pila, South Africa e tla kgotsofatsang batho ba heso kaofela. So ke re a re tshwareneng matsogo. May all of us join hands as we move towards our 30th freedom anniversary in 2024 to make sure that we make South Africa a better place. May God continue to bless our country and protect our people. I wish you all a happy Freedom Day. Ke a leboga.
Halala, President Cyril Ramaphosa, halala. Halala, President Cyril Ramaphosa, halala. Halala, Luna. Amandla. Amandla. All power. Thank you very much, Your Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa. I'm going to request, I can ramata gape. Tina lo mhlaba. Ntate Blondie, the stage is yours.
Tina lo mhlaba sukezile. Tina lo mhlaba sukezile. Tina lo mhlaba sukezile. Tina lo mhlaba sukezile. Tina lo mhlaba suphethema. Tina lo mhlaba suphethema. Tina lo mhlaba suphethema.